You're watching Experience Comic Culture and Sales, streaming live daily to Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter.
Hi, everybody. It is time for Talkin Shop, our weekly show in which we get to chat with creators about the things that they are working on that are coming out this week. In this case, we are totally getting to talk to people that are making the best art. I'm super excited about it. Just so you can kind of put it in your brain bucket for who we're talking to today. Up first is going to be Brian Haberlin, and then after him, about half an hour later, Afua Richardson. So if you don't know either of those creators, you will know all about them by the time we were done, and be big fans. So we'll see you guys back here in just a second. Welcome back, everybody. I just realized that my sweater somewhat matches the crazy decor behind me, which is pretty funny. Hopefully you can still see me and it's not camouflaged. Welcome, everybody. I'm hoping everyone's having a really good day and has gotten recovered from staying up way too late and eating way too much food for Super Bowl. We're going to talk about comic books in enough time for you to be able to get together with your LCS and tell them, I need this book and this cover so that I don't miss it. And then it'll be waiting for you at your local comic shop on Wednesday when you get there. Please welcome Brian Haberlin.
Hey, everybody.
Brian!
Hey.
I have a question that's just like been burning in my heart for a long time. Mm-hmm. Do you find yourself saving your very best art for the redheads?
No, I don't think so. I think sometimes yes, but sometimes no. You know, I feel it's got to be variant. You know, a lot of blue hairs get pretty nice treatment from me.
That's true. Your blue hairs tend to be short hair, though. It's interesting to me.
Some of them, yeah. Not all of them, but some of them, yeah. So, hey, I got something for your store folks, and you can do whatever you want with it, Jen. So this is a set of every single, including the store variant covers for the first issue of Barbarians.
Gracious.
So that's Clayton Crane's. That's his personal variant that he got done for it. Oh, wow. The version of that one. Cover B, sketch cover.
Smart to have a sketch cover for this one.
Sketch cover, regular A cover.
Mm-hmm.
Virgin B cover.
Perfect.
Another store variant.
Ooh, that's nice. Who's that one for?
This is for Bird City Comics.
Oh, wonderful.
And we already pulled out. And, of course, the sketch variant. And one of the other ones that I didn't pull out of the box. That was my variant for Coliseum Comics. For Phil, I did 4 linking variants for 4 image number 1s that are coming out this month. So for Monarch, Local Man, and whatever. So they all are linked together. And there's a Barbarian cover is the 3rd one. And then I'm going out to Phil's store after Comics Pro and signing at their 40th anniversary celebration.
I mean, it's such an awesome thing to see someone that's as wonderful as Phil and a set of stores he's put together that are as awesome as they are reach 40 years. I don't think people realize that comic book stores, I mean, we haven't been around for hundreds and hundreds of years. It's like 40 years is a pretty
when I was in the 70s, when I was a kid, getting comics, we got comics from the local liquor store and whatever, and the spinner racks. There was one store by me in Eagle Rock, California. I grew up in La Cañada, California, and so it was a little bit of drive. It was like half-hour drive, and and I forget her name, but it was very equivalent. And this is gonna make her sound worse than she was as a person. I'm sure part of it too was that I was a teenager, and shop owners are always kind of watching teenagers and stuff. But it was essentially the Soup Nazi comic book store. So all the comics were behind the counter. You got in a line in New Comics Day, and you came in, okay, can I see that one? And you could only ask her, like, can I see a couple before she would say no comics for you and move on.
That would make any kids so nervous.
This is no lie.
How did you finish a set of anything?
Well, and we were bad at that time because I already started we kind of got clued into collecting back then with me and my buddy Kirk, and it was during John Byrne's Uncanny run, and we would buy as many copies of a book that we could buy. So, we weren't exactly, we're like, okay, can I have 10 of those? No.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh, it looks like
there were very few comic stores back then.
Mm-hmm. I think in Houston also, they started the exact same way. I think Cecilia Shore started them here as just like spinner racks inside of like a general store. Yeah. At least that's the way that the story is told to me via Richard Evans, owner of Bedrock City. I love when I get him to sit down and talk about the history of comics for Houston area. It's just mind blowing.
Yeah, I remember we used to drive around, because again, Southern California. So when we were 16, we had crappy cars because you had to have a car, otherwise you aren't getting around anywhere, But we would drive to all the little, to try and get more copies of a book. We try to, drive to that liquor store and then over to that 7-Eleven and then over to,
Yeah,
and our biggest mistake, Jen, was we thought we had it down. Yeah, we're buying these things, flipping them, making cash on these comics, and two really big ones. One was not as big, and we thought, oh, Dazzler #1's coming out. That's going to be big. Let's buy a whole bunch of those.
Hey, that might still happen.
And then the other big one, we also got into collecting original art at the time, and I had 2 Daredevil covers that I bought from Frank Miller for like $200.
How did you go about it back then, getting original art? Was it just at conventions from them?
It was just conventions, yeah. And bought 2 from Frank himself, $200, and I'm 16, so the next week, someone offers me $400 for each of them. I was like, okay, great.
Oh, no. And you felt real good about yourself then.
Oh, yeah. Of course, they're probably now worth, I would say, $200,000 each.
That's true. Yeah, I still have some original art that I bought at conventions in the 90s that I get tempted every once in a while to pull out. But then I'm like, no, I'll regret it.
Yeah, you do.
I bought them because I love them, not because I wanted to flip them.
And I think you have to. Yeah, I think you have to do that. I mean, that has to be the base. I have a small but nice collection. My buddy Kurt kept collecting all this time. He has a huge collection of really, really great stuff. And now it's almost impossible because the buy-ins are just crazy. Like I was going to buy. So the first Spawn piece I ever colored was Spawn 25. Which is when the Image owners all swapped their books. So Top Cow, Mark's Vestry did Spawn, and Todd did Cyberforce, and so I did the coloring for that, and the cover went up on Heritage Auctions, and I thought, okay, because for some reason, the Spawn stuff is still kind of affordable. Most of the Spawn stuff that goes up is still kind of affordable. I thought, okay, the initial stuff before going to live bidding was about. I told my buddy Kirk we were gonna buy it together, to ease the costs and stuff. And it's like $25,000. That's our limit, $25,000.
Sure.
It went for $49,000.
Ugh. Yeah, my friend Brainy won the cover.
Brady's got a lot of stuff. Oh no, don't bring. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Keep going. Sorry.
He bought they put up for Comics Pro a few years ago for the charity auction. It was an original cover. And I think it topped out at 3,000. And I think everybody in the room was just like, why did we not continue to bid? What is wrong with us? I think bills were due. I don't know.
It could be.
We're even going to cover a Spawn for $3,000.
Right. If you could get, I mean, anything really almost right now, anything that's Silver Age is just, and it could be just, not to knock on anyone's art. It could be the worst artist from the Silver Age on a big book, on a big character, and it's worth a ton of cash. But anyway, yada yada yada. But anyway, so Jen, so do whatever kind of contest you want for these. I'll send them to your store, and then you can use.
We'll think of a really fun thing to do.
Yeah,
so that would be good. Thank you. That was very generous of you. Appreciate
Sure.
that. I actually was just thinking to myself, I think I have something from you over here that I was waiting to open when I saw you. So I have no idea what this is.
Oh.
It could be.
Took you long enough to open that. That didn't really help my sales, did it?
It's like Jen's I didn't realize that I hadn't
right now
it.
That we sent her, Hannah.
It's just like, I really was like, oh wow, I'm going to make a big deal about this, and then somehow it ended up behind something. So that's on me. Maybe this is now so rare. It won't let me in it though.
There are only 200 of them.
Oh wow, you know what's in here.
Yeah.
Oh snap! It's a numbered edition. Well,
not only that, you have an original watercolor right there.
Wow. Oh, it is. Oh, that's awesome. That is so beautiful. Oh my gosh. Another redhead.
Yeah, that didn't help me. That didn't help me pull any sales though. There, one Jen.
Okay, I can still make it work.
Okay.
That is so wonderful. Thank you. I will say for everybody that's watching, definitely Brian is one of the most interactive with at least our store. I'm sure he does it for a lot of them. And is just super generous and kind always with time, and tends to send those kinds of wonderful things our way to give us a little punch in the arm and help us out a little bit. It's very much appreciated, because I don't get that from it's not something that just happens every day. Like, look, someone sent me an original piece of art and a really amazing rare book.
I think it's really funny. I mean, because you must get them too, because we were going to do, I was going to do some Marvel variants, right? And that I was going to do. And, we've discussed that briefly before. It's a lot of money to buy into doing each one of those things. But ahead of time, before you even get any of that going, you have to sign it and have an account with Penguin. And so I have an account. So I get all the Marvel things they send out. Those posters they send out all the time and stuff like that. It's hilarious though, isn't it, Jen? When you get these posters, right? They don't say who the art team is on the book or the writing team on the book. They don't say when the book will be out. It's just Spider-Man, whatever.
Yep.
And I'm like, really? That's what you
guys it's always been that way. And honestly, I don't know if it's because maybe some retailer back in the day said, hey, if you put all the information on the poster, it's less syllables for me, when it's supposed to be a promotional poster, right? To get people to buy a book.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. No, it's amazing.
Every penny counts, I guess.
Yeah. No, it's amazing.
But yeah, it would be more helpful to signal to somebody. You know what I miss really badly is the advent of previews day, when the new previews book would come in and everyone would come and stand around the your front counter and flip through their copies, because everyone bought one, and talked about what they wanted, and everyone got all super jazzed. Like, I know there's a physical book, but people just rely on the digital stuff, and I think they look the last minute now, so there's not a lot of getting excited about big long storylines, or I don't know. I miss those days of paper.
Yeah, no, but it is a phone book.
That has not changed. It is still very large.
It is still a phone book. But no, that's it's fun to figure. I mean, again, it's just there's so much stuff, and weeding through that stuff, it's very, very hard. I mean, that's why you guys are important out there, But even then, it's just like, I mean, what would we say? Like, because I always baffle people when I tell them that. How many comics titles come out every month?
Oh,
we're talking about 3. I'm talking about stuff you don't even necessarily carry. If you ordered every freaking thing in the Diamond catalog, it'd be 400 copies, maybe 400.
It's funny if you also include manga titles that are releasing.
Jeez.
That's a lot.
but when I go, because I do entertainment stuff, and when I have meetings with these people, and I say, oh yeah, my book was like, good in the rankings here or whatever like that, and I have to tell them that there's 400 books that come out every month, and they're like what, because they don't do that with. I mean, they do a lot of streaming now, but not that much streaming. It just seems like it's too much sometimes.
Oh yeah. All right, let's dig in.
But I know it's too much sometimes. I mean, how many? Again, going back to the 70s, what was maybe 30 books for the whole month?
Yeah, and I was telling someone the other day the difference in ordering was so much different. It's like you didn't really have a lot of information. There weren't a lot of variants for one. The variant was the main cover. If they wanted to do like a cutout cover or whatever, that was just the cover you got. Yeah. But it was the ordering was so much different. The way I remember it was that you ordered in 5s and 10s, like you got a bindles.
Huh.
Because a lot of the stuff that I have from older stores is in, like, they're still in 5s and 10s in their original little bindles, which is interesting to me.
And that was not necessarily 5 and 10 of an individual title. It was the total number of comics you had to order, right?
Yeah, you had to order them in lots of 5 for the same book.
Oh. Huh.
I don't know if it was a shipping thing, if it was just easier for them to keep them looking nice or what, but.
Huh. Wow. I did not know that. Cool. I like learning these new things.
Let's talk about Last Barbarians. I remember my brain tells me that I saw maybe a tease of some of those images at San Diego Comic-Con. Was that true, or was I seeing teases maybe just on your page?
No, that's probably right. That's probably about right.
They were beautiful then, so gorgeous. What inspired the idea for the book?
Well, I haven't done a fantasy book, and I wanted to do a fantasy book. I was really just harking back to Hannah, can you bring in the metal, it's by, I think, with the art table, the blue metal figure thing?
Anyway, you guys talk to each other the same way me and my spouse talk to each other. It's like some of those were words, but we totally know what we were talking about. But
I the work, the metal, the box, the metal box with the figures in it.
Oh, yeah.
There you go. Starts with the letter. Never mind.
It's like I was like, you're doing like the whole like.
So in one of the very, 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 very first gaming stores to exist started in La Cañada, where I grew up, called the War Club. This is like to show people sort of the old pedigree of old figures, from back in the day.
Pewters.
We're talking lead.
Mm-hmm. Those are awesome.
Old school. And I just decided that you don't want to run into these rat guys. These guys are in trouble.
I was always terrified to run into the werewolf ones.
But these are all from, this is mine and my brother's thing from 1970, God, I don't know, 78, 77, something like that. And it just started, you know, D&D and stuff. And I met, you know, 5 of my best buddies who are still my best buddies today from playing war games. Playing, you know, they also did like the Napoleonic stuff and the World War II stuff. But then Rick, whose store it was, he would run the D&D campaigns, and he was also one of those D&D GMs that would tear up your sheet if you died.
My heart hurts.
But it was, but you know, it was fun, and we made up our own games, and we did. And this is actually also where I kind of decided to become a professional artist. Was I had the Holguin brothers, Brian Holguin and his older brother Kevin,
Fire that DM.
were also playing, and Kevin painted a picture of our characters from one of our campaigns, and I go, oh well, I draw too, you know, and stuff. And, oh, okay. And I came back like the next week with a drawing of all our characters, and he was like, "You suck. You're not good, right?" And so this was when I was in high school, and so I stopped going out at lunch break. I went into a study thing, and I had anatomy books, and like, okay, today I'll be just drawing hands. Okay. Mm-hmm. Tomorrow I'll just be drawing feet. Within 2 weeks, I was as good as he was. By the end of the month, he quit art entirely.
It's true what they say. Just practice.
Well, yeah, it just, I mean, it does. I mean, I think that's important for people who are learning any of this stuff. As soon as they have the first time that they see that they've been able to put their mind to something, whatever it is. And frankly, for me, it was actually learning to ride a unicycle. And it was like, because it was almost impossible, you know, at first. And you think, I can't do that. But as soon as you put enough effort in it and you eventually learn how to do it, you think, okay, I can do that. I can do more things. You know, I can do other things. You know, it's like, but you need that first kind of hurdle that you've put your determination into something. I mean, as stupid as riding a unicycle, but it doesn't really matter. It's just, if you can see that you couldn't do something one day and now you can do it, that opens the door for everything. So then you realize, okay, I just need to put effort into this thing. I just need to keep working at it, you know?
Absolutely.
So, right, so Last Barbarians was the ode to all those days of, you know, running our own games, running our own campaigns. You know, a couple of the characters that we had from back then are going to be, you know, little characters in this. And also it's just, you know, I've always been a fan too of you know, Terry Pratchett's work, and you know, the Princess Bride, and then roll the D&D stuff in there, because we have like in the second issue, we have our adventurers are get to go they're in a city, and there's a basically a magic weapons shop, you know, and she doesn't have any money or anything like that, but she goes in and she's like, oh, you know, +5 bow, you know, and oh, you know, I was like, and, oh man, yeah. So we have those moments, you know, where we have a lot of fun, and it's just essentially, it's a world where it's really heavily guild influenced. So you have to declare, you know, are you going to be warrior? Are you going to be a thief? You're going to be, you know, merchant. You're going to be whatever you're going to be. And Sylve, and her older brother Shadow, who's 7'2".
Gosh.
7'2", and she has to take care of him because her entire village was destroyed by what we're saying at this point is a dark mage. They don't know who it was. It was, you know, whatever. And he was the golden boy of that whole area. He was the strongest, the fastest. He was going to be the, you know, big military commander, you know, the next Charlemagne of all things. And their village was laid waste to, and he was basically mentally damaged by the mage. And so she's been taking care of him ever since.
Oh, wow.
But she can do everything. She can, pick a pocket. She can fight. She can cast a second level spell or two, and she doesn't understand why she has to be one thing.
Is she the character
She
that's
wants to be
on
all things.
the A? Is she
What's
the
that?
A? Is she the character that's on the A cover?
She is the character that's on. No, the A cover is actually one of our baddies.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. That's Bone. She's one of our mercenaries who are out to get our folks.
She's
And
awesome.
this is also our other baddie. That's Blood.
Oh, I get to be a baddie. Yeah.
Her partner. So we have Blood and Bone are our two partners. And Sylv, I didn't pull out the cover that had Sylv and her brother and stuff on it, but
Rainey wants to know, is there a hidden D&D module to play?
We think about doing stuff like that. Like if you look at the book I sent you, Jen, if you flip around the back, there's a character sheet on it.
Oh, okay.
You'll have to unbag it.
No, you don't. You just got to know how to not unbag it.
There you go. So character sheet, there was we held off a little bit because there was a whole brouhaha that D&D just had recently about because they were going to bring in all the rights to all their stuff that they would let people to do royalty free and stuff like that. And they decided, they got such feedback that they go, yeah, okay, we're going back to you guys could do whatever. So we're definitely planning on having some stuff like that. And we even have, God, where are they on the table? I've already made figures for them as well.
Oh, perfect.
So we're probably going to surprise send those out to a couple some stores and stuff too. And then I'll have them at Comics Pro as well. But anyway, so she wants to do everything. She doesn't want to be reined in by these guilds. And in their whole thing, like we have in the very beginning of the book, on the credits page, decreed by the guild maestro Jana the Stalwart in the 700th cycle, individuals should pursue individual skills and live in a singular definition. To be so misguided as to see oneself as multi-talented is erroneous and offensive to the fabric of our realm. We pursue a single talent at a single guild, and anyone to think otherwise is entirely deserving of the most odious of titles, barbarian, and is not to be employed by any guild. And Sylv needs a job.
Stay in your lane statement.
And Sylv needs a job because she's got to support her big brother. So she's between a rock and a hard place. So she takes a job from this shady cleric that she probably should not have taken. And that's where our adventure starts.
Oh my gosh. It sounds so awesome.
Yeah, they're basically at the end of the ropes. They get kicked out of the place where they're staying and everything. They have no choice but to take a job from the guy that all her friends are saying, don't take a job from this guy. He's sketchy. Don't do it. It's like, got no choice.
Not going to listen because love brother.
Yeah.
So it almost sounds like
the magic, fun, comedy, serious, the whole 9 yards.
Sounds like the reverse situation of River and Simon from Firefly.
Yeah.
Brother's got to take care of sister.
Yep.
But sister's dangerous.
So is a 7'2" strong big brother.
Absolutely. Well, we look forward to getting to dig into this book. A reminder to everybody, you should absolutely get with your local comic shop and let them know that you're interested in this book. It does come out on Wednesday. It has an A, B, and C cover, and then it has a B and C it has two variants that are the Virgin variants, and those are marked as D and E. If you're looking to try to find those, and then the blank. I don't know. Does it have an actual numbers? You just tell people blank.
Yeah, I think it's just blank. Cover F.
Cover F, officially cover F.
It's officially cover F.
So you just tell them you want A through F, and you'll get one of everything, and you'll be good.
Yeah, and then for whatever thing you want to do with the full set that I'll send you, because that will have 3 store variants in it. that normally aren't on anybody's lists.
So you guys definitely make sure that you're subscribed to us and following us on all the social medias, because we'll tag it up so that Brian knows when we're doing it, but we're going to be giving them away. We'll probably maybe spread it out a little bit so that everyone has an opportunity to get something. But I don't know. It's kind of intriguing as a full set too. So we'll see. I'll talk with everybody and see what we want to do. But yeah, we're definitely giving it away. So you guys follow. Help us get to our 1,500th subscriber so we can give away that and $1,500 worth of slab comic books that are going to be rolling out too. So you guys can enjoy those. Thank you so much, Brian.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Just like always, I think we probably still could have talked a lot longer about this, but we'll save it for the next time.
Well, and I'll see you next week, right?
Yes, absolutely. I cannot wait. I know Kyle's going to be there too, our producer. So he's chomping at the bit.
Cool.
All righty. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thanks, Jen. Appreciate it. Bye, guys.
Everybody stick around. Up next is Afua Richardson. We're going to talk about her cool cover.
What if Hans Gruber from Die Hard had to battle the Joker from Batman the Animated Series in a dance battle? Or who would win in a race between Baby from Baby Driver and Snidely Whiplash? If Austin Powers and Shrek found themselves in a hot dog eating contest, who would emerge victorious? These are the questions we talk about on Nerd Killer Warfare. Debate the most absurd questions you've ever heard in popular culture. Register now by scanning the QR code or visiting bit.ly/EXP casting. Did you know that every experience show, including some exclusive content, streams on Twitch? Check it out, twitch.tv/the_EXP. Or just scan that QR code.
Welcome back to Talkin Shop, where we get to talk to creators about what things they've got coming out this week. And sometimes we talk to people about full books that are coming out. And sometimes we get to talk to awesome people about their variant covers that are coming out. And in this case, I would use any excuse at all to be able to talk to this individual. And you should want to do that as well. This is Afua Richardson.
Hello, hello.
Well, I'm always excited to see what you're wearing.
Aw.
Today. Uh-oh.
Yes. We got the red memos.
Yeah. Oh, and sorry, mine is actually weirdly orange and has a
swatch.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
So I'm super excited about this for two reasons. One, I'm excited about the book that it's on. I've been looking forward to this Marvel Voices for a while. It's Wakanda Forever. And so I've heard really good things about what's going on inside the book. But I was just scrolling through today and saw your cover. I think I've just been aware of your art and seen you posting it for long enough to be like, I think that's Afua. So,
yes.
It was. So I said, producers, can I talk y'all into interviewing Afua today? So yay.
Yay. It's fun. It's kind of like a fun reunion because I had no idea that the covers that I did for Black Panther World of Wakanda with Ta-Nehisi Coates and Roxanne Gay, Yona Harvey, Brian Stelfreeze. When I heard that Brian Stelfreeze was going to be anywhere near a project that I was going to be doing art on, I was like, I was like little beads of sweat formed in the top of my head. And so I was so excited. I was like, oh man, Brian Stelfreeze is like the Yoda of comics. Like his artwork is so sharp and precise. And I had the opportunity to visit his studio when it was still Gaijin with Adam Hughes and Cully Hamner and just all these incredible artists just sitting together in one roof. And he looked over my artwork, and I was a musician at the time. I was like, oh man, thanks for taking the time to like let me know what you think. And he just gave lots of really practical advice. And he also had a figure drawing class there. So you could just sit behind him and watch him draw. And he would start to explain like the shape of the light and the shape of the shadow, and like the difference between seeing a person and seeing a mannequin is you can see the blood underneath the skin. So from the point of the light to the shadow, there's this red cord of blood. And that's when you know you're looking at a human being. So he puts this little like red cord on the skin tones to translate like this. And I was like, wait, who thinks like that? Like, that's amazing. So for that person to be working on a book that I was anywhere near, I was like, I really want to like put like a really, not only a great effort into it, I want to do a little research. Like I want to like take a piece of myself and put this in a book. Because my name Afua is West African. It's from Ghana. It's for a girl born on Fridays. And if I were a boy, it would be Kofi. And so Kofi was a king of the Akane of Ghana. And there was this cool little seat. His neighbors to the west of him had a little seat called a king seat. And it was a chair carved out of a meteorite. And it's a placeholder for a queen. So he thought, I'm a king. I should have a king seat. And it started a war because it was such an offense, because it was so sacred. And so to not cause a war, to end the war, he decided to surrender his life. And he had a cloak with these symbols embroidered onto him, the Adinkra symbols. All that to say that each of those symbols mean different things. And I decided, okay, a Friday came up with these symbols, so I'm going to use Friday symbols in the Black Panther book. And so I asked Marvel, so like, what's going on in there? And they gave me a little synopsis for each of the stories. And I thought a perfect symbol for T'Challa would be Nea Ope Se Obedehene. He who wants to be king must first learn to serve. And I'm like, wow, that's so practical and deep and Zen-like, like that's so fitting. In order for T'Challa to be able to lead a group of people, he has to understand their needs and attend to them. But while he was away, helping the Avengers, Wakanda fell under ruin. Mm-hmm. And people are upset. They're just like, hey, you're off taking care of other people. We really needed you to take care of us. And so all of these stories thereafter, the language within the Black Panther was based off of these Adinkra symbols. And I think I'm the first person to put them in the MC universe. I'm like, that's so awesome. So I got to speak to the CG team who created like the look of his suit. And they were like, yeah, your artwork was there on the table with, Stell Freeze and Laura Martin, whose colors you see all over the film. And so it's so cool to like be a part of these projects. And you put like just a little drop of something in and you see it like turn into something else. It's like this crazy butterfly effect where years later it's like, oh my gosh, I drew that thing. And now it's just a drop. I mean, everybody else did more important things, but I was like, it's just cool to have like a little bit of an influence on something. So it's cool to come back to these characters after all these things have been made since I made them before the film, to be able to like put, what's going on in the story and on film, like kind of a mashup between them. It's just fun to see it happen.
Did you have a good idea about how much they were going to look at that original source material and really stay true to it?
No, there's I guess there's a limit to the information that they put out, because they it's cool. Like when I got to work on Lovecraft Country, it was so segmented that I only knew about the story from the perspective of what I worked on. But I got to sit on set and watch it being filmed and watch things blow up and watch the stunt actors and like see them walk across things that are like 30 feet up. I'm like, oh man, this is intense. This is incredible. But
I'm crushed that show did not continue.
I know. It was so weird and so unique. And it was like a whole bunch of very powerful tropes just thrown together in this really cool way. And it was beautiful. Like every scene was lush. from the costumes to the color coding. And I got to work with JP Jones, who is he's basically in charge of everything that the actors touch that isn't wardrobe, which is a lot. So he has to make all of these different tools, all of the cars, all these different things. And so I'm working right under him, seeing him put out literal fires. Mm-hmm. And he looked around and he was like, I've got to tell you, I really want you to pay attention to this moment, because I have never seen more Black people behind a camera ever, like, in my life. This is cool. Like, this is not how it always is.
I think there's something truly special happening in film right now. I see that.
Yeah.
I see that for a lot of different projects that are going on out there. I'm very happy about it.
Right. I really like the rise of different cultures, media, like the Korean cinema that's happening right now. It's brilliant. It's evocative. It's always like
Netflix is mining all of the Korean awesomeness and just like bringing it over. It's like,
right. It's great because they're just so different. Like Parasite is unlike anything I've ever seen. I'm just like, man, there's something about this that's irritating, but not in a violent way.
Oh yeah. So you kind of told us about how you've started doing your art. How do you now address your art? Do you have a fully realized idea in your head for what you're going to put on the page? Are you one of those people that are like magical that can just like put it down, or do you use reference material? Or
I start off with thumbnails. I really like, pencil and paper, even though I'm a very messy artist. It's almost like I'll get an idea in my mind of what someone's doing, and then I'll pick where I want my camera to be. I'm like, okay, well, I get these shapes in my mind, and so I'll start sketching out the general shapes, and then I'm like, these are the relationships that I want to put together, like round, tall, blocky. I want these weird things, and I'm like, you know what? No, I want to go to something different. I want to try this from a different angle because this gives me a more dynamic angle. And I wanted to show all three of these characters together. They go through so much. Just seeing T'Challa is emotional because you're thinking in your mind, like, okay, how are they going to address this? But people were just so angry that Chadwick Boseman wasn't recast. And I had to kind of stop and think when I saw the movie, the cast is grieving too.
Yep.
So the whole thing was just like, oh man, this is emotional. This is really, it's really emotional for them. Because that was their friend. Like, he didn't tell a lot of people that this was happening. Let's see. For some reason, I'm out of focus.
I just thought you were doing like the cool Vaseline lens.
Point right at your
very arty.
Take a finger and point right at your webcam.
Okay. Doop. Shazam and abracadabra. No, okay, hold on.
Don't cover it up, just point at it.
Oh, just point at it, okay.
Like you're telling it it's a bad person.
Like this bad camera.
Yeah, like you're yelling at Henri.
What did I tell you about eating them Oreos? Here. All right, here we go.
Well, the answer is always turn off and turn on again. I would just say Walafu is messing around with the camera. If you are not following her on social media, you should, because she puts up so many really great images of her art. And also recently, if you've been following her, you've had chances to like grab up some of it because she's been doing some amazing remarks.
It's been a lot of fun. Like, I have so many covers and comps and things like that, just triplicate of different copies. And I'm like, man, I'll look back at art and be like, man, next time I would want to do it this way. I'd want to change it. So now I get to like doodle on top of it. And I'm like, why not one more head? So I'll blank it out with gesso and kind of just paint on top of it or use a Sharpie. And each one's different. So it's been fun just doodling on my own artwork and seeing what happens.
I think it's also very insightful for you to understand that there's a lot of people that want to show their support for you and then want like to feel close to you, to have a piece of things that you've created, to allow people to have access to that is super, super nice of you.
It's been, I really miss going to comic conventions because that's where I saw most of my friends. And then I'd meet people and just have really, really great conversations about what's going on in their lives, like art and just the different things and the stories that move us. And since I'm not doing that as much, I'm doing more online sales because I just have so much stuff. You can only have so many IKEA shelves. So you just start like, hey, you know what? It was really awesome that I did this. I have a copy and I can let this go. Which, it's been really cool. Like I'll get little notes in some of the orders and they'll say you're being ordered from an indigenous household here. And I'm like, that's so cool. This is awesome because that's I would do the same thing. Like there's a really cool South African jewelry maker. And I told her that I worked on Black Panther on the comics, and she sent me extra stuff because she said that Black Panther completely changed her life because of the new interest in African jewelry. Mm-hmm. And she was able to hire a new person and, send her daughter to school. And I was like, wow, that's really cool. That comic books
extra impact.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, you have no idea like what gets put into the world and then changed. It changes people's minds. It changes what people think is cool. And I've been finding really cool artists on Etsy who make their own stuff, like female metalsmiths. I was like, yes. Like, are you kidding? Absolutely. That sounds amazing. Like I'll wear their jewelry all the time, and they're really affordable and really awesome, just like raw stones and these cool things that look like they belong in comic books. And so the book that I'm working on now, Aquarius, the Book of Mer, I'm doing this modern retelling of mermaid myths and legends from indigenous cultures, from my own culture, from my own grandparents. And I'm like using the different pieces of jewelry that people have sent or have made and like making it a part of their costume. Like, go buy from them. This is cool. It's real. It's really cool. It's like real wood. This is awesome. Or real stone.
The other thing I love is that your creativity is so broad. And I love seeing you doing your cosplay. Like even when you're doing booth work, you're dressed up and enjoy that culture. It's like, have you always done cosplay, or is it new?
I collected things as I started going to conventions. Like in the few moments where I had a break, like I would walk around and I'd find these really cool pieces, and I was like, oh man, like here's a seller that makes like giant lightning bolt earrings. This is like Mr. T and Storm combined in one. This is awesome. I just want to wear this to the grocery store. And so it was just really cool. Just one by one, the more shows that I went to, the more things that I picked up. And I started doing a lot of shows. At one point, like 12 and 16 in a year. And I'm like, this is a lot of traveling, but it's really cool to see different parts of the country and meet different people. And, we just have conversations about different things. And then you make like little micro friends and family in a bunch of different cities. And it's just been really cool. Like these different experiences that you pick up connecting with people about fictional things. We can. Mm-hmm.
Do you have a favorite of the costumes that you've put together?
Oh man, I really had fun with Maleficent.
Ooh.
I don't do a lot of bad guys. Like I've been Kara L, I've been Okoye, and sometimes I paint or not paint. I put designs and do like metal makeup. I'm just like, I just want to make this would be my redesign of this character. I'd find different dresses. I'm like, that looks Wakanda-ish. Sure, let's go for it. And then I get the actual ndebele from South Africa. Those armbands are used in weddings and different ceremonies. And then the hat that the Queen Mother has, Queen Ramonda, it's like a wedding hat. It usually has like beads right in the front. It's just really cool. It's seeing these different cultural pieces, seeing the lip enhancements, the ear enhancements, the different things that people think are beautiful, like wrapped into these characters, and then seeing people cosplay as them. I'm like, wait, I can find them from actual places right over here.
So have you gotten to ever hear from any of the costume design team? Do they see your pictures and be like, I'm inspired by what you do?
Oh man, that would be awesome. But no, not yet. I've only spoken to the costume designers for Lovecraft Country, which was really, really intense. I felt like I was glad that they only came out once a week, because I was like, I think I need water after all. These are a lot of emotions.
It's a bunch.
I need a musical.
I wonder if it's harder for them to do period piece driven things like that, where they have to like go back and try to find reference material to what people were actually wearing, but then make it their own. It seems really hard.
Yeah, it's a lot. A lot of the things were hand sewn, or they'd find, like you can find shoemakers, you can find, or they'll go out shopping, and there are a lot of really awesome antique shops and thrift shops in Atlanta, because they filmed it at Black Hall Studios in Atlanta, and it was 15 minutes from my house. But I'm seeing all these pieces come together where they're buying like, 7 cars, one to blow up, one to have the door fly off, one to flip over and mysteriously come back, and not have a scratch on it. I'm like, what? Or hand making notebooks, so it had the right kind of paper from the time. And I'm like, this is intense. This is a lot.
Wonder why it costs a lot of money to put together a movie and TV, because they look at those details. You just don't shop for, a 20s, 30s, and 40s and 50s era thing.
Exactly. Like some of those things you can't find because you can only find one of, and you need a lot of them because people are going to be throwing themselves through the mud, and sometimes it won't be right, and you got to do it again, or it has to be right. This is a $5,000 shot with all these effects and explosions, and I'm like, oh my god. But they can do a lot of really cool things with CG. Like one of the characters is named Orithia Blue, or Hippolyta, and her daughter makes a character of her as Orithia Blue, the space traveler that goes through space and time as all of these different kinds of female warriors. And she just learns things. It's kind of like, I now know Kung Fu. I have to go through this whole life experience and then leave and then have another experience, but be completely conscious of everything I just experienced, from the 20s to the future to the Byzantine Empire. And one of the things that she was supposed to do was zap into my office and I show her how to draw on a Cintiq. And she learned with me how to make comics.
How cool is that?
And then she goes back and she makes this comic. She publishes this comic herself, and she brings it back to her daughter. And so in the series finale, when they say, the little girl Diana is looking at the comic book that I did the cover of, and they're like, she's like, how did you learn how to draw like this? And because we remember comics from back in the day, they had like completely different textures and coloring techniques. And so Hippolyta says, an artist named Afua taught me, so I can teach you. And so I started getting all these calls, and the props master, JP Jones, was telling me, he was kind of telling me what they were saying. It was like, oh, the actress is gonna like zap into your office and you're gonna teach her how to draw and it's gonna be on the page. And I'm like, what? I was like, do I need to get on camera? Like, no, it's all virtual. And I'm like, okay. And we were going to make a complete comic where the pages were flipped through. But when they said, oh, you'll have 27 days. We need this in 27 days. I'm like, okay, cool. And it's the 25th. They're like, no, we need this on the 27th. I was like, oh, whoa.
That's not happening.
I don't know if I can do a whole comic book in 2 days. But they actually came back to me and we CG'd certain pages onto like a blank comic.
Okay. That sounds doable in a couple days.
Well, like they had photographs of the scenes and that they wanted me to draw. And so I redrew them. And I was like, okay, well, it looks pretty seamless. But
do you mentioned the Cintiq. Is that how you do most of your work? Or do you
yeah.
Looks like you have to do practical if you're doing remark, but
yes, the remarks are all traditional, but most of my work, I do on a Cintiq, and I'm thinking about investing in an iPad since that seems to be like where everyone is going as far as technology. But I need to be able to see if it can keep up with the capabilities because DC Comics, they want their covers in 600 dots per image, 600 DPI. It's really high.
Yeah.
Like not everything can handle that, but I'm gonna check it out and see if it works out.
That's gorgeous. So you mentioned your other book. I can never remember the first part. It's of Mirror, but I can't remember.
Aquarius.
Aquarius. Gummit. I should be able to remember that.
That's okay. Aquarius, the Book of Myr. Yeah.
So
and
when will that pop out?
I'm shooting for May. It's exciting. When I first started the book, I had a successful Kickstarter, but I had got a concussion like a couple of months after. And it's really interesting when you're writing a book about mermaids and worlds kind of converging when your mind is kind of going through the same thing and you don't quite realize. You're like, oh man, I'm really having trouble seeing what's in my mind. And just taking that experience of like realizing that you're not grasping things, you're not grasping information, that things are warped. I was like, man, I want to have that really weird feeling given to a character. And so being able to rewrite it and write something that I feel is a lot more relatable, especially since everyone's gone through such a weird time in these last couple of years.
Yeah, so much.
It's no one has escaped these feelings, but like thinking about the things that actually change my mind, like in a positive way, like listening to music, listening to these things, it's a spell in and of itself. Your mind is one way, and then you listen to music and you're not completely better, but you can change your environment with music. That's kind of like magic. And so looking into all of these different creatures that can verbally or auditorily change your will, your mind, or all the different stories that happen, when you're dealing with mermaids. I wondered at one point, are they just European? Like, which is cool. Like chupacabras are Latino. Like,
yeah.
I mean, are these creatures just relegated to here? And I just found all of these really cool stories. The Micmac have the Sabawailnu, the halfway people, and their stories that are written down in these different journals of anthropologists who went out and studied of people being abducted and then coming back years later. Or people who went out fishing and their boats got harassed by this half mer person who wanted tobacco and a knife. And the person who gave it up, they told them, come back tomorrow at this time and your boat will be full. But the one who didn't pay attention, there was a storm coming, and so they started singing their song, and only certain people can hear it. And they didn't listen. They were just like, yeah, okay, you're crazy. You're hearing this. We don't hear anything. Like, we're going to go fishing, and their boats get turned over. So I'm like, that's really cool. Like, there are these creatures that are out and about in different people's stories. And I imagine them more frog-like than traditionally mermaid-like, because they can go on the land and into the water. They used to be people, was the theory, and that they had to change and evolve over time because a great flood came. I'm like, this is insane. Like, this is a far departure from the Little Mermaid
culture. That's cool,
right? A flood myth exists in every single culture, and so, and they all have their own mer stories. So it's been fun collecting them. And the first one is about my great grandfather encountering one of these things.
If people want to kind of like pre-sign up for them, what is the right place to connect with you to get them?
Well, I'll be posting on social media. You can check Instagram. I'm AFUA_Richardson. I'm on Twitter under Afua Richardson, one word. And I'm on Facebook. So I'm going to be announcing all the proper links and so on after I get everything together. It's been so exciting, putting together the music, putting together this book, and like really being able to tell the kind of story that I've wanted to tell. And not that I didn't have fun making all these other things, but it wasn't my job to tell the story. It was my job to just, tell their story, which is awesome. I get to, create Superman's son. Like, what? This is awesome. Like, this is a job. I never would have imagined in a million years that this is what I get to do as a job. So now to get to make my own and try to make things that are cosplayable, things that I'd want to wear, and seeing other people starting to cosplay as them too. It's exciting.
So perfect. All right, everybody out there, I know you're chomping at the bit for the next show, but I wanted to make sure that we got the entire story, because that is important for this book that's coming out. So yes, do get in touch with Afua, follow her so you can get in touch about that, and make sure you hit up your LCS for Wednesday's release of Marvel Voices
Wakanda Forever.
And don't miss getting that super awesome variant cover from Afua. Thank you so much.
It's so good to see you.
Absolutely. All right, everybody. We'll see you next time for Talkin Shop.
Join the party. Head over to our Linktree to find all the links for everywhere the experience is all the time.